is hope?
I think hope, for me, and it's interesting, Greg, you know my story pretty well. I spent the first third of my life fairly unhopeful.
Right.
And I know what that was giving me. More of the things that I reinforced. I wasn't feeling worthy, I wasn't feeling alive, and I certainly wasn't feeling love of myself. And I think the things that have really helped me to feel hopeful and why I believe so much in hope today, it's an inclination of possibility that you can bring into your life. It's very much something that you are responsible to bring to life. Hope is beautifully subjective and deeply personal.
Isn't it interesting that hope is a responsibility and an opportunity to bring into your life? You can deliberately cultivate and craft hope and possibility in your life.
Which I think for a lot of people, that word responsibility, right, Greg? I mean, you and I've worked with a lot of different people, patients, clients. You work with companies all over the world. And when someone uses the R word, they're like, whoa, wait a second.
Yeah.
Can I go and get hope someplace else? And where can I go and get hope? And when we go, oh no, this is on you.
Right.
And this is you looking at the practice of how you lead your life and asking those really difficult questions. If I was to lead my life in a way that inspired me and I had a plan and I had a protocol in a way that I knew I was executing, that was evidence-based, would that give me the catalyst that I need to step into hope? Because hope is beautiful and it's very much a thing where when you're in hope, what you're available to and the resource that you're available to is extraordinary.
Let's talk about evidence. Let's talk about the evidence for biohacking, but in the context of the responsibility we've been speaking about, because I struggle with the term biohacking because it seems like it's a shortcut, but it's not. It's consistency over an extended period of time doing evidence-based practices, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think I'm with you. I also struggle with it. I don't struggle with it as much as long as there's something happening before the hacking.
Okay.
And before the hacking, we have to understand the responsibility that we're taking, that we're not giving our power away to a machine or a technology or whatever that thing is, that there's a level of intention beforehand and moving towards whatever that technology might be. But the ultimate technology is like, how does my self-worth connect with this? How is this performance I'm taking on as a responsibility connected to this? What am I willing to do to move in the direction of when I start to use these other tools, what I've already established as a foundation? And it's those two things together, which I think creates a phenomenal opportunity for performance, because I think you have a responsibility beforehand. I think we've all tried certain things. And I remember when I was doing endurance sports, like triathlons and stuff, and I was still not where I knew I wanted to be emotionally and spiritually, but everything was physical. And I was trying to outwork my self-loathing. And my performance struggled, but I'd be out there just logging miles and pushing myself under the influence of so much self-loathing. And I think that's a lot of what happens today. If we are not going into whatever hacking experience, every bio opportunity, that we haven't established first and foremost a level of self-love and self-reverence, that hacking isn't going to deliver what we hope it. It's not going to be the shortcut that's going to give us the true healing that has to come before the performance.
So it's like biohacking, but in fact what we need to be doing is mind, body, emotion hacking, but all together. And I love how yesterday when you were speaking, because we were at a conference here and you were presenting, you talked about your mindset prior to taking your supplements. So you're setting yourself up for what you're doing in a way that's not normally connected. Mm-hmm. You don't normally do mindful practices right before taking a supplement to make the supplement more effective. That was super cool.
I think what's fun about that, Greg, is that what I'm really interested in, when I turned 60, I did a real thoughtful analysis of my life. Humbling, sobering, and also kind of like, wow, hey, look at you. That's pretty awesome. Look at the things that you're interested in. Look at your marriage and look at your kids and, really getting granular about what you really want to look at and have that be the barometer of whether or not you are successful. starts with family for me, always.
Wow.
And I look at those things, and I was reading an interesting study about how, I'll share the name. I won't pull up now. I'm dyslexic, so I'll say a study, but I think you even know, I forget who her name is, but she's the foremost researcher on goals. And she was talking about the state that we're in before we set an intention. So whether you're taking your supplements or getting ready to go for a walk or getting ready to get up in the morning and just get out there and do the best you can, getting yourself in a higher physiological state allows you to set a higher intention for what you'd love your life to be out picturing that day. Because what she's discovered is that unless we do that, we set goals that don't really get us excited or inspired, and they don't stretch us. We want to be stretched enough to realize this goal is worthy of our attention and our presence. If we're just kind of mailing it in on autopilot, that's not a goal that is worthy of your presence and intention.
So we need to think at the highest level, get excited about what we're doing. Mm-hmm. I'm also curious about what happens when you then begin to practice and what we wrap up that practice in to make that practice something that is positive and helpful for us. For example, let's say you're waking up to go for a run. You wake up, you're like, where are my shoes? You're like, oh my God, and you throw them on and you go outside and maybe you have your water, maybe you don't. You go for a run, you come back. Then the kids we got to get everyone organized. You race to work. You're starving and you're exhausted and super stressed because you're late. Like that's how most people try to implement a new exercise routine in there.
Right.
No wonder it doesn't work.
Right.
So how do we wrap these new practices in success, but not success in like achievement, success in process to make success inevitable? Curious about that.
My goodness. Well, I think that you and I would say, well, we look at Charles Duhigg and his research on habit formation.
Yeah.
And the linchpin habit is one of his coined phrases, which I love. Having your shoes next to your bed is what they call a cue or a linchpin habit, right? And the evidence is clear that if we're kind of getting used to this new idea of changing our life or doing something for ourselves, make it easy by having it something that you're going to see normally. Don't have it such a stretch for you. You're going, oh my gosh, where are my running shoes? And also, don't try to be like, oh my goodness, I'm also a dad, I'm also a husband, I'm also an entrepreneur, I'm also this. And in the midst of all of that, where are my shoes? Like, where are my shoes? I get all these other things. And I think this is where the heroic nature of self-awareness comes in.
Right.
I think what's hard these days, because there's so much amazing information. I mean, Greg, you're across the world teaching people every single week, every single day. You're somewhere going, this is how it works. People go, oh my gosh, I saw this guy, Greg. Dr. Wells told me this thing, and I've got 11 new things I'm going to do.
Right.
I hope that people find the one thing, and whether it's the cue of the shoes or whether it's the longer hug with your kids, all of these things are part of your well-being, and they can be a cue to have you get the next thing to come in. But I think it's the 11 things that get in the way, where the one thing will be the way.
Right.
The one thing.
Yeah, the one thing.
The one thing.
Effort, energy, attention, focus.
And really marinate in the fact that your self-efficacy, when I look at some of the research that I've used this my whole life, Greg, Albert Bandera, who created the whole world of self-efficacy, which is a fancy way of saying, I'm so present for the good that I'm doing, I can't forget how good I am.
Cool.
Well, oh my gosh, so there I am witnessing myself doing something good. And because the ventral striatum, which is where our dopamine and habit formation and motivation happen, that part of the brain goes, hey, you crushed that. What's the next cool thing you want to do? What's the next one thing you can do? And over time, we've put together this incredible protocol that is started by the one thing that you were self-efficacious in witnessing, which I think you and I, as busy dads and busy husbands and busy business people, it's hard sometimes to get people to really see that one thing is enough to get started, because there's so many things in the world right now that we think we should all be doing, and then we lose ourselves in that fragmented attention space.